Hi everybody, it's Mrs. Inman. I'm here to read to you Full of Beans, and we're on chapter 21, Doomed. We're getting close to the end. A few days later, I ran into the last person in the world I wanted to see, Johnny Cakes. I was out walking with little Dizzy. He was asleep in the wagon, Termite waddling after us. Mrs. Albury had asked me to babysit him in return for divinity. I couldn't say no to her divinity. Johnny Cakes was strolling down White Street toward the docks. "There you are," he said with a grin. "I've been looking for you. I have a job." "No, thanks." He looked surprised. "I'll pay you double." For a brief moment, I was tempted, but then I remembered the smell of smoke. I shook my head. He frowned. "I'm sorry to hear that. You were a good employee." I was too good of an employee. "I gotta go," I said. "The baby wakes up if I stand still too long." "Well, if you change your mind." "I won't," I said firmly, and I walked away. The next day at school, just as recess was ending, a kid came running up to me, calling my name. "Beans, Beans!" I didn't bother to look back. The last thing I needed was some kid praising me for being a hero. "It's your dog," the kid shouted. Well, that got my attention. I froze and I turned around. "My dog?" "Yeah," the kid said. "The dog catchers just got him. He was right outside the school. I saw it with my own two eyes." Pork Chop asked me, "You think they'll kill him?" Could things possibly get worse? Wasn't it bad enough that my life was ruined, and now my dog's too? The afternoon at school was the longest ever. The minute the bell rang, me and Pork Chop and Ira headed down to where the new dealers had set up shop. The office used to be a vacant storefront. Now it was buzzing with activity. There was a big sign announcing "Volunteers Wanted." I followed the sound of barking dogs to the back of the building, where cages were lined up. I saw 4 skinny hounds and 1 short, funny-looking one. "There he is," Ira said. My dog started barking happily. "Termite," I said to him. A man who had slicked back hair and wore Bermuda shorts came around from the back carrying a bowl of water. "Excuse me, mister," I said. "That's my dog." "Which one?" he asked. "The short, funny-looking one. Please, can I have him back?" I pleaded. "Well," the man began. Pork Chop interrupted. "Bean sure does love that man, mister." The man narrowed his eyes at me. "You're Beans? The one who helped the fireman?" I nodded reluctantly. The man gave me a once-over. "I heard about you, and you did a good thing." He glanced at the cage. "Go on. You can take him." As we walked down the street, I looked back at the man in Bermuda shorts. "I'd keep him tied up or inside if I was you," he warned. "Thanks, mister," I said. Maybe the new dealers weren't so bad after all. I still had a dime left when Johnny Cakes had paid me, and there was a new picture playing at the movie theater. It was called Little Friend, and it starred a newcomer kid named Nova Pilbeam. She'd have to be pretty good to get anywhere with that name. This time, when I went to the balcony, the leper was there, and he didn't seem at all surprised to see me. I sat right next to him. We were the only ones there. "I hear this is a good picture," he said. "It's supposed to be very dramatic." I heard the same thing. "What's your name?" I asked him. "Murray." "What's yours?" "Beans." He tilted his head. "Is there a story behind that nickname?" "Well, it's from when I was a baby. Ma said every time she nursed me after she ate beans, I'd toot all night. So she started calling me Beans." He chuckled. We watched the picture, and boy, was it ever dramatic. It's about this girl whose parents were going to get divorced. It was as sad as could be. I didn't like it one bit. Give me a comedy any day. Afterward, me and Murray walked home together through the dark lanes. As we passed one of the little conch houses, Murray paused and started studying it. "What color is it?" he asked me. "What?" "The house. I can tell it's been painted, but I can't see the color in the dark." "The new dealers painted it pink." "Well, that's an interesting choice," he said. "You said it." As we walked, Murray pointed out other changes the new dealers had made. Weeds had been cut back to showcase red blooming trees. Porches that were hidden were now very inviting. The garbage was all gone. I started to see everything with new eyes. But it was the air that was so different. It didn't stink. Instead, it smelled like tangy bits of fruit and a bite of the ocean, the island's own perfume. It smelled good and fresh and alive. That's when I knew. I couldn't fix the damage done to Saldano's house, but maybe I could fix something else. The next day after school, I went to the new dealer's office. The same fella who had given me back termite was manning the front desk. Did you lose your dog again? I'm here to volunteer, I said. We don't take kids, he said. Why not? He asked. I can help. Sorry. Look, I'll do whatever you ask, I told him desperately. I've worked dirty jobs before. I'm not afraid of hard work. He leaned back in his chair and studied me. Did you say you don't mind doing dirty jobs? I'll do anything, mister. Just tell me. I was cleaning outhouses by the end of the day. I did every dirty job there was. I cleaned outhouses and I strained bugs out of the cisterns. I filled in potholes and shoveled up trash from vacant lots. I went home filthy and tired every day, but with a lighter heart. Were you collecting milk cans again? My mother asked me one evening when I came home stinking like a dead animal. I spent the entire afternoon picking up trash along Duval Street. I was a big fan of garbage cans these days. I was helping new dealers, I told her. She looked surprised. Really? I nodded. You're just such a good boy, she said. Not always, not by a long shot, but maybe there was still hope. One night after supper, I realized I had brought home a shovel from the office. When I went to take it back, the lights were still on, so I peeked inside. The head lunatic himself was sitting alone at the desk. I'm just bringing back the shovel, I told him. Well, thank you, Peas. Beans, I said. Oh, of course, he said, distractedly. I noticed that none of you children were using the playground. Well, that's the truth. If I can't get children to play on the playground, how can I possibly be going to turn the city around? He sounded almost defeated. Well, it might take a while, I told him. We don't have a while. It's already November. We only have a few weeks left, open until the very first tourists come here, and there's still a lot to be done. Nobody seems to understand the gravity of the situation. If Key West is not ready for business by tourist season, we're doomed. What do you mean doomed? He put his hands on his forehead and rubbed. They're already discussing it in Washington. It would cost less money to close down Key West and move its citizens somewhere else and try to save it. I couldn't believe it. They can't do that. This is our home. They can, they will, he sighed heavily. At this point, it will take a genuine miracle to save this town. Oh, my goodness. So that's chapter 21. Seems like Bean's trying to turn around his ideas about how to help, though. That's good. We're going to be on chapter 22 next, Divine Divinity.